Hi guys, it's me, and this is a study of the Wheel of Time with the Rain Serpents. I hope you guys enjoy this episode, and please read the books. Read the books with me, and then let's talk about it. Hi guys, and we are back with chapter 15. And there's just so much to tell you guys about this chapter. This chapter, things are just happening, and shit is just going down, and it is just insane, guys. It is insane, but it is lovely. So in the last chapter, chapter 14, Rand had a nightmare slash not a nightmare, because it was a nightmare until I ran Riyadh. The dream that is not a dream. So picking it back up from there in chapter 15, and Rand awakens, and he is disgruntled because it is his one day in Baerlon and they did not wake him up to explore the city. So he goes down to the kitchens only to find that there were a lot of dead rats strewn across the inn, and their form of death was a broken back. Now, if it is we remember in the last chapter, when it is he was until I ran Riyadh with the man, Baerlon, heart of the dark in the Trolloc tongue, which means it's just another word for the dark one. Okay, Baerlon. Broke the backs of the rat, broke the back of a rat until I ran Riyadh. Now, he wakes up the following morning and they are strewn across the inn, rats with broken backs. Guys, there are no coincidences. We don't think so. This is like Matrix. Did you see the trailer? It was amazing. Anyways. Back here, no coincidences. So he also finds out down there that one of the boys stayed back, citing that it is like he just wasn't feeling well. So he goes up to see the person, talks to them. It is Perrin, a blacksmith with the arms, the apprentice blacksmith, but still. Anyway, so he really doesn't look good when Rand goes to see him. He's laying down, arm over his head, over his eyes, not really feeling well, and they have a conversation that results in us finding out that Perrin and Rand had the same dream with the man and the rat and the Aes Sedai and the Balsamon, and it is crazy because you know what? In the dream, he was looking for somebody, and he did ask Rand if he was the one at the very start of the dream. Now, why would he be in Perrin's dream if it is he didn't think that Perrin could also be one? There are no coincidences. Coincidence? I think not. Anyways, so Rand leaves Perrin because Perrin doesn't want to come down yet. He's not feeling well and he refuses to move. So Rand leaves him because remember he wants to go and explore Baerlon, right? And Rand is a bit indecisive because he goes, but then he sees a lot of people. Remember, Rand is from a village, so the amount of people and everybody in the village knows each other, and there's just like so many people that don't know. He doesn't know. So instead of going and exploring further, he doubles back on the inn, goes to the stable yard where he meets guys, the love of my life and female, 4 men. Please remember that name because it is very important. Min is able to, sorry about that back here, guys. I was telling you about Min. Now Min is able to see the pattern, okay, or at least pieces of it. Now let me try to explain what that means. Okay, so the pattern or the age lace, it has a lot of names to it. The weaves as the wheel wills, it all means the same thing. Now say a person's life in the wheel of time, their life is like a thread in the pattern, and this is woven together to make sure that events play out the way that they are supposed to. Remember, this is the wheel of time, right? And every age may have a different storyline, but there are features of each age that is the same. Now, the pattern concerns itself with making sure that the features that are supposed to remain static in each age happens as they need to happen, and it also concerns itself with balance, I believe. Anyways, men can see pieces of the pattern, and sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes she understands what that means. Now, Min was with Maureen, and it makes sense because Maureen was making men look at the boys to try to see if she saw anything when she looked at them, and she sees something when she looks at all of them. Egwene, the Gleeman, the boys, Maureen, Lan, every one of them are part of it. When they are all together, there's a vision that she sees where there are sparks and there's this great shadow, and shadow is trying to devour the sparks, and the sparks are trying to fill the shadow. Now Robert Guys, down in book 7 in Crown of Swords, Min is having this vision. Still, how this man just knows the seamlessness of his writing. He does not need to go this hard, because sometimes it is like I'm reading. Like, guys, the first time that I understood what goosebumps were was from Robert Jordan. Okay? Sometimes it is you hear something and it's like, but it happened way down over there. How that happen in here? Right? Anyways, sorry, back to what I was saying. And definitely, like, this part, guys, watch out. Please watch out. And I know it's difficult because these books are so huge. It is difficult to remember some of the things that you read. But whatever it is you read here is very important. Read this chapter carefully, like fine wine. It is a lovely chapter, but it must be carefully read. Okay, so these things that Min is saying is kind of like freaking Rand out, understandably. So he decides that he needs to get away from her, so he leaves the inn again, because my boy just does not know what he wants to do. So he goes back out and he's exploring the city, and who would he run into but Padan Fane, the peddler. Remember, the peddler from Emmons Field, who they thought had disappeared and died on winter's night when it is the Trollocs had come. Padan Fane. That's who he stumbles into. But this guy knows really weird, guys. Like a madman. Like a homeless madman. He's dressed, his clothes kind of look very dejected. Things aren't going well, and he does not want to come close to Rand, but Rand is like, Mr. Fane, he keeps trying to, have a little communication and interaction with him, because they're somebody that he knows. So they go. Both of them are talking to each other now, and Fane is rambling on about what happened that winter's night, and how it was all unfair, and how it is Rand just doesn't know it is he had to go through things like that. Watch out for this, please, guys. Watch out for this entire chapter, the entire thing. So, and then he talks about the fact that, like, well, Rand says, come back with me, come back to the inn, I'm staying at the Sagan Lion, and Maureen would be able to help you. And then he's like, Maureen, the Aes Sedai. And he goes on and he says that, like, he doesn't even want her to know where he is, that she makes him afraid, and please don't tell her, and promise him that he won't tell her that it is he stumbling into him, and that he's even there in the city. And I think that Rand gives that promise. And so, but he's still trying to convince him to come back with him, and Padan Fane runs off. Like, he goes around Rand and he runs. So Rand, he gives active pursuit as well, because my boy fit enough. Anyways, so Rand gives pursuit, and he ends up running into Matt instead, and Payne, he makes it off, and Matt is like, he and Matt have an exchange, and Matt was like, you wouldn't believe who I just saw, and Rand was like, well, it was Padan Fane, and they have no idea why it is he ran off. So now the boys are just walking down the street, and they're running to White Cloaks. Now, White Cloaks are very arrogant. They are, right? If it is a White Cloak says rug, and you don't lie down on the floor for them to wipe their boots on you, then you are a dark friend. You're a filthy dark friend who has abandoned the light. So they're walking on the street, 3 of them looking arrogant, and Matt, he is an ever supreme mischief maker, and he decides he's going to teach them a lesson. Now, it is important for you to note, here I am telling you again, watch out. It's important for you to know that Rand has been feeling unwell since it is like he's gotten up, and then it's just been getting worse and worse. It's important, guys. Okay, so he's feeling unwell, and when it is like Matt says this, he anticipates seeing what happens, and we know, like, Rand knows to himself that this isn't usually how it is he would respond when Matt wants to make mischief, especially with people like the White Cloaks, who they are supremely supposed to be avoiding, given that it is they are in a party with Maureen, and they don't want to attract any attention. This is the last thing that they should want to do. But Rand is anticipating it instead of trying to steer Matt away from doing this. So Matt disappears, and he knocks down something that is holding barrels, and while it is the White Cloaks are passing, White Cloak, because they are dressed in white, their cloaks are white, guys, and the barrels fall down and mud splatters on them. Rand forgets himself enough to start laughing. I don't know why. What is going on with you, Rand? So he starts laughing, and they advance on him because, like, why are you laughing? I can't laugh. Wear white cloaks. You have to show us the proper respect, or you're a dark friend. Anyways. Sorry guys, back here with you. Yes, so with the white cloaks, and they are advancing towards Rand. Now, instead of him being concerned and worried as he should be when he would normally be, right? He feels like this revs him up with excitement. Inside, he is burning. My boy. Anyway, so he goes to, the rational side of him goes to cover the heron on his sword, remember? We don't want any trouble, but instead, he pushes back his cloak to show off the sword more, the sword and the heron. And so they come and they look into, what a bully is like. They bully who it is they can, and they were definitely going to bully Rand. But then they notice, one of the soldiers notices the heron on Rand's sword. And he's like a blade master in one so young. So he kind of doesn't believe him, but still they're not sure if it is they want all that smoke with Rand. And so they start questioning him, because they're not really going black tongue. And as they start questioning him, Rand answers them, but he avoiding fully answering the questions. Rand acting like a bad man, and I love it. I love it so much. So one of them says, oh my god, this made me laugh so hard. He says, what evil is in you that makes you avoid my questions? You country bumpkin, or something like that. And I laughed because, of course, if it is you don't want to answer a white cloak, you're evil. Anyways, but before it is like fight could break out, and Rand probably will get his ass handed to it, to be quite honest. The town watch comes. Remember, the governor doesn't like that some of the white cloaks are in the city, and he has made a town watch to make sure that peace is kept. And the white cloaks are mad. They're like, Baerlon stands in the shadow, and all kind of crap. As I said, once it is like you don't step the way it is that white cloak wants you to step, you are a dark friend of the darkest regime. Anyways, so they leave, and Matt comes back, and he's like, you are crazy. You were going to start something with 3 white cloaks. So they walk in, and they get into the conversation of the fact that Matt had the same dream that Perrin and Rand had. Now, if it is we remember from what happened before, when it is Maureen and Lan routed them out of the 2 rivers, and they said that the Dark One was after them, this adds even more to the tally that they are really probably after them, because that man was in Rand's dream to find out if he was the one, Matrix style. Okay, yes, but then he was also in Perrin and Matt's dreams. So it follows that there's something about these boys that makes the Dark One and his people feel like, hey, we need to be after them, right? Okay. And through all of that entire altercation, Rand was just, as I said, he was feeling these feelings that are not normal to Rand. It isn't, watch out, please watch out. So they go back, and he and Matt are discussing what it is they should do. Rand is telling him that he's wondering if it is to tell Maureen, and Matt is just not. He's not on that train, he's not on that road, he does not want to do it at all. Matt says that, hey, she sting the fairy, and she promised to destroy us if it is like, we don't do what it is she says. We don't know if it is we could trust her. We don't know what the chances are if it is we tell her of the things that happened in this dream. And they decide that because Perrin had the same dream, if it is he does tell her, then it is she's probably going to be able to work out that it happens for all of the boys. So they are rushing back to the inn. On their way back, rushing back, they tumble into Tom. Little Tom! All of these men in this book. Okay, so they tumble into Tom, and Matt and Rand start telling him about the dream, because seemingly they trust Tom more than they do Maureen, and he's a worldly man. He might know more. He might be able to give them some advice. So they talk to Tom, and while it is they're talking, Rand mentions the name Baerlon. Tom puts them aside, and he's like admonishing them, you don't ever say that name in anyone's company. You don't know who could be hearing, and you don't know, it's a very dangerous name. Okay, and he goes on to tell them that he agrees with Matt. They shouldn't tell Maureen. If once it is you tell something, you cannot take it back, and once it is you can't take it back, you do not know what the circumstances will be when it is you do tell. Say, hold on to something as long as you can, and you decide what it is you do with it. And I love this. I love the thing that I love the most about this book are the men who are so wise. It is a sapiosexual, is like Tinder to fire, just like boom, my whole heart, I lay it at your feet, please. And I don't even know whose feet to lay it at, because it's just so much. It is everybody in the books. It is everybody. Anyways. So they're like, okay, so Tom decides that they need to rush back into the inn because they need to tell Perrin the same thing, because he needs to know, hey, we're not telling Maureen. As they are rushing back to the inn, Perrin is rushing out of the inn to meet and find them, because Nynaeve, the wisdom Nynaeve, who is not to be messed with, she has come after them. She has come after them, and I know that people would say, okay, this is something that has come up, and it is not very good. But wouldn't you like to know that if it is you disappeared from your home, that somebody comes looking for you? I don't understand it at all. But they were very unhappy. But I was like, yeah, I could get with that. You know? I could respect that. I respect you for doing that. So she comes, and Perrin is telling them that she and Maureen are having an intense little argument inside, and they don't want any part of it. But Tom says, because Tom is a wise man who I am going to marry. Okay, I'm going to marry all the men in this book. All the men. I will have 10 or 15 husbands, and I don't care. Tom says, from what it is I know of the young lady, she's not going to rest until she's had her say. So you guys cannot avoid her, because if it is she continues that way, where it is she continues coming after you, she's going to attract attention that we do not want. Tom, he is so wise. So they're going to the inn to face Nynaeve. And that is the end of chapter 15, and I will be back in chapter 16. And watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Bye.